Hi, I'm Katherine. I make lifestyle videos about motherhood and veganism. Today's video is the birth story of our second baby boy, Benjamin. We had him at home on January 13th, 2020. So the day before Benjamin was born, we decided to try to walk the baby out. I was 39 weeks and 4 days along, and we just started walking everywhere. So we went to the mall and we went to Costco and we just walked. Benjamin was born pre-pandemic, pre-COVID-19, before everything was on lockdown in the United States. We came home, had dinner, and around 7 p.m. what I assume was my mucus plug came out. So I was like, okay, labor could be coming. I took some pictures that were my last bump photos of my belly, which I will try to show somewhere on the screen here for you. He was definitely big. I had a very big belly. Went to bed that night, woke up around midnight, had to pee, came back to bed, and just started feeling some light cramping. I tried to go back to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I just laid in bed until about 3 a.m. and everything was coming pretty consistently. They were painful enough that I couldn't sleep, but I would still just call them uncomfortable. Around 3 a.m. I decided to get up and make some food. I called my midwives to let them know what was going on, and I tried to make some breakfast or just some food so that I would have some fuel in me, some energy for however long this labor was going to last. I wanted to make sure I had enough food to sustain myself. At this point, I also went and woke up my husband after I'd already been in labor for about 3 hours, early labor, but I was still laboring for 3 hours. He had slept through all of that. He did not know I was up. And I went and woke him up and told him, hey, I think today's a day. I think I'm in labor. I think we're having this baby. And he looked at me and was like, okay. And then he fell back asleep. Cool. So thanks, babe. Glad that you got some rest, and honestly, he needs it. I didn't need him at that point, so it was good for one of us to get some rest, and he knew from our first home birth that it was best to just rest as much as you could before things started to get a little crazy. I was also talking to my mom. At this point, I wanted my mom and my dad to be at this labor and delivery. I think that they decided to come over even though I wasn't sure exactly how quickly things would progress. It could have gone on all day. Baby could have come really fast. I just didn't know at this point. My water hadn't broken and I wasn't feeling like I was in a lot of pain. They still decided to come over around 4:30 a.m. I think is when they arrived, which was kind of nice because when my older son, who was almost 2 at the time, I think he was just 23 months old, he gets up super early in the morning at 5 a.m. So they were able to help him get breakfast while my husband Matt was helping to set up the house and just get ready for the midwives and all of our birth things out. So here's some video of me just in early labor around my house, just trying to get in the groove of the waves coming and going. It was very odd at this point to me. It just didn't feel like I was in labor. Things were uncomfortable, but I could talk through all of the waves. It just kind of felt like everyone was coming over and we were hanging out, and I didn't really know what to expect at this point. It was very different from my first labor with our son Theo. My water broke with him before any of the waves started, and things just progressed very quickly from there. I think my contractions or waves started at around 8 p.m. and he was born at 3 a.m. and they were very, very, very intense because my water had already broken. I had a great team of midwives, but the midwife that was on call when I went into labor was the same midwife that delivered my first son, Theo, and that was really special to have her at both of my labors and deliveries. So she arrived at 9 a.m. and was just talking with us, kind of getting things set up, asking how things, honestly, I didn't see her for the first part of it. She was talking to Matt and I was just kind of hanging out in our bedroom, just trying to relax and just move through all of the waves. Around 10 a.m. she asked if she could check me, and I said sure. So she checked me and I was 8 centimeters dilated. At 10 a.m. after she checked me, I decided to move from the bedroom to the living room. I had my first baby at home in the bedroom, and I chose the smallest corner in our bedroom to park it and just not move again. So my husband literally had, I should probably show a picture here, he like basically sat where our like clothes hamper is, and he was just tucked in that corner the entire time I was pushing out our first child. And he was totally fine. Like, he didn't complain about that at all. But in hindsight, I just realized that that was a very tight space for everyone to be in. And if I had the choice or was able to this time, I wanted to be in a more open area where I had more room to move and everyone had more room to move around me instead of like crawling over my bed. Anyway, we ended up in the living room and we had everything set up out there, and I was just laboring, trying to find comfortable positions. The waves were getting much more intense at this point, and I was starting to not be able to talk through them. And I was really hoping that my water would break. I would kind of go to the bathroom and sit backwards on the toilet through some of the waves. And then I went back to the living room and just tried different positions on the birth ball, on the floor. You can see me with my husband in some of the videos, just trying to like breathe my way through and just hoping that my water would break on its own. So at 12:50, right before 1 p.m., my midwife checked me again and told me that she could break my water for me if I wanted her to. And at this point, I started to get very scared. Like, I don't know if scared is the right word, but I just was not ready to make that decision, and my midwife completely respected that. Baby was doing well, his heart rate was strong, I was doing well, everything was going fine, and she knew that, I knew that she wasn't going to break it until I said it was okay, as long as baby and I were still healthy. As you can see in the video, we were like in the middle of my living room. We had things pushed away, and this isn't normally how it's set up, but we had things pushed away so that I could just labor. They have like the chucks pads, like puppy pee pads almost on the floor. And what's kind of ironic is that I call them like puppy pads, and if you've had a baby before, you know that you pee and poop, there's just a lot of pressure down there, and I was very, very, very well hydrated, and my water had not broken yet, so I kept just peeing like all over the place. Sometimes I'd get up and go to the bathroom if I felt like I had to go, but I'd get a wave, and I would just try to relax my body, and that relaxing just let out pee. So every time I peed, they'd be like, "Oh, is your water breaking?" Nope, just that's me. Hi, peeing again on the floor. Yeah, that's me. I think I win the award for most hydrated woman in labor. Yeah, I think that's me. They were getting very intense at this point. I was pretty uncomfortable. I had been in labor for over 12 hours and just finding it hard to find a good position to be in. And around like right before 3, I decided to have my midwife break my water, and I was a little bit nervous, but I know that it doesn't hurt to have your water broken, and it didn't hurt, by the way. Like, people had told me that it doesn't hurt, but it didn't hurt. There's a little bit of pressure just because, you know, your midwife's up in there working on breaking the water, and they do it during a wave, which isn't the most comfortable time to be doing it, but that's when it needs to be done. So she broke my water, and that was at 2:51 p.m. And this is where things started to go very, very quickly. When she broke my water, a little bit of blood came out with the bag of water, and I didn't really process it at the time, but that's obviously not the greatest sign, and she didn't know where the blood was coming from. But I was still doing okay, and baby's heart rate was still doing okay, but she just decided that we needed to get baby out. So I started to get up and I started pushing like right away. I did not have the urge to push yet, so it was very strange to me, but I knew I could hear like the urgency in her voice, and I knew I needed to get this baby out. It's hard for me at this point looking back, because I remember how it felt before my water was broken, and I was like, okay, baby can come pretty fast at this point. Like, I'm still not in a crazy amount of like intense pain, but I was a little nervous about how it was gonna go, and then just like that, things moved very, very quickly, and baby needed to come out. So I think I moved into like a squatting position, you can see in the video. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to show just because of like angles and stuff. Like I'm not showing everything on camera. But you can see that I was in like on my hands and knees in a squatting position, just leaning up against my husband. And he ended up like holding me up when I was standing up, just like pushing baby out. And because I didn't feel the urge to push, like everything got more intense. I could feel that he dropped down and like he was ready to come out, but I didn't feel that urge to push like I did with my first. So I was just pushing with every wave that came, and I got a break in between, which I did not feel like I got that break in between waves with my first delivery, because I had so much back labor with my first that it just was very intense the whole way through. But this time between the waves, I got kind of a break. My midwife was using lots of pressure on the perineum. She was using lots of oil to help stretch, to help baby come out. And you can see her down there working a lot in the video, and I was pushing like as hard as I could, and it didn't feel like I was getting anywhere, but she just kept telling me like, you're doing a great job, like baby's gonna come soon, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And I do have to say, I do remember like pooping with this baby while I was pushing, and I do not recall that I did that with my first. Like I told you, I was gonna just tell you everything that happened, and that was definitely one of the things that happened. And it's totally like they just take a baby wipe, clean it, keep going. Totally normal. If it happens to you, like please don't let that be the thing that you worry about. Your doctor, your midwife, they see it all the time. It doesn't even faze them. And as soon as you see that baby, like it's not even a thing. Don't even worry about it. So you can, I don't know when I'm gonna show him being born, but my first baby Theo was born with his hand up by his head as he came out. I remember my midwife saying like, oh, he's holding my finger, and his head like wasn't completely out yet. His hand was out first, and he was already saying like, hi, nice to meet you. And I was crossing my fingers that this baby would not do the same thing, but he did. And I know there's a term for it, I just can't remember what it is, but he came out with his hand up here as well. So she's almost like wrestling with him to get him out in the video. It looks very strange. Like I don't remember it being any more like intense because his arm was up there, but I've had 2 babies that came out with their hand up, so I don't really know what it's supposed to feel like otherwise. But he came out with his hand up too, so that made it a little bit more difficult to get him out. And you can just see his hands just like pop up, and he just like falls, not falls, she caught him, that was definitely the wrong term to use. You can just see like his arms and everything come out, and my midwife did a great job of making sure that he came safely into this world, making sure that I felt safe. He was born at 3:09 p.m. after 18 minutes of pushing. I don't know how many waves that was, but it was 18 minutes of pushing off and on with like a break in between. And because I had to get him out so quickly, you can see in the video and his like very early days of newborn photos, his face is very swollen. So his eyes are all puffy, and he's got like, you can see it's super cute. But it was a little bit surprising because he had like bruising across his forehead, just I think because he had to come out so fast. He was healthy, and that's all that I could have asked for, because I was so nervous during those like 18 minutes after she broke my water, just unsure of like what was going on. Like my brain just couldn't process exactly what was happening. I just knew I had to get him out. So I was like, is he okay? Is he okay? And he came out and he started crying and he was happy, and they handed him to me like from behind, because I was standing up leaning against my husband, and pulled him up and like leaned back and put him on my chest. And just, I always thought that this moment would be like, I'd be crying and like so happy and in tears, but you can just see on my face that I am like in shock about what just happened. And I remember the same thing happening with my first. It was not that glamorous. You know, you see a lot of moms have their babies and they're in a full face of makeup and they have their hair done, which is totally what I thought I was going to do. But mine was the complete opposite of that. I was just laying there kind of in shock about what just happened. Like you can see it on my face, like the video and what I say is just very self-explanatory. And my first son Theo was there, and he got to see his brother be born, which was just a very special moment. My mom was filming, my dad was back there holding my son, and you can see I think I have the clip of my son meeting him, but you can't really see Theo come super close. Like, he isn't really in the field, but you can see like how excited I am for them to meet. It was very sweet for Theo to be there, and I knew with my dad and my mom there that if Theo at any point didn't feel comfortable with what was going on, they could take him downstairs to like the playroom and somewhere else, but he was great the whole time. He like didn't even seem fazed by me being in labor, and I was like vocal and making a lot of noise, and he was wonderful. He's just a great kid. So obviously, you know, because I've mentioned it a few times, his name is Benjamin. He actually did not have a name for 2 days. We just could not decide, and we ended up on Benjamin Michael. Benjamin was just a name we both came across and we both liked, but we just weren't sure until we met him. And Michael is my dad's name, so that was after my dad, and it was really sweet to be able to tell him in person that we had named our second son after him. It was very sweet. So with this baby, I actually didn't tear at all, and I had 2 stitches, I think, with my first. I tore with my first, but I did not tear at all with this guy, which is very surprising because just based on how quickly he came out and everything, and I credit a lot of that to my midwife just stretching the area and using a lot of oil and just making sure that he was coming out smoothly, or like the best that he could with like how fast I had to push him out. So I gained the same amount of weight with my first pregnancy and my second pregnancy. My first baby was 6 pounds, 11 ounces at birth and like 20 inches long, I think. So I was expecting about the same size baby the second time around. We all placed our guesses after he was born, and I was like, maybe like 7, 8 pounds, I think is what I said. I think I said 7 pounds. And my midwife just looked at me and was like, he has 3 chins. I don't think he's gonna be 7 pounds. And I was like, I don't know, like I just had a baby. I'm not thinking straight, blah, blah, blah. And they weighed him and he was 9 pounds. 9 pounds on the dot. And I was like, how did I just have a 9-pound baby? Like, I still 6 months later have not wrapped my brain around that. Like, how did I have a 9-pound baby? I just was not expecting him to be so big. So I'm going to be making a follow-up video on why I almost had to have a hospital transfer. I did not want to make this video like an hour long. I was trying to shorten it, so I'm gonna break it up into 2 parts. Please leave a comment down below telling me all about your birth story. Are you pregnant right now? Have you already had a baby? Are you going to be having a baby soon? Do you have any questions about home birth? I would love to get to know you and talk to you down in the comments, so please leave one down below. And don't forget to subscribe. I would love for you to join our family. Just hit that red button down below and give this video a thumbs up. Talk to you again soon. Bye.